Hey, it's Sean Mike for DashDudes.com. It is video 2 of our second installment of the Jar of Destiny beers. And so we've said to ourselves in 2022 that we're going to pick out different styles out of a hat randomly. And we're going to brew those styles and then, I don't know, talk about the results here on YouTube and beyond. And so the style that I chose was 26C, the Belgian Tripel. And so I did some research into this because even though I brewed this many years ago, and you can find the recipe on brew-dudes.com, I don't brew Belgian beers all that much outside of, I would say, Belgian Wits.
Yes.
I would say that's my favorite style of from that area of the world. Actually, we do make a lot of sours too. True. You know, but that's another video. In any case, the Tripel brought a challenge because I think these things take a lot of time to settle out. It's a strong beer.
To come into their own.
It's a strong beer. And so I'll tell you about my process. So I wanted to learn more about it. And a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I actually got as a Secret Santa gift, I think a 4-pack of St. Bernardus beers, and one of them was a Belgian Tripel. Can you show the camera that this monk has been mocking me for the past 5 years? That guy's smile has just been like, yeah, you want to brew this, don't you? And I have said to him, leave me alone, old man. So we'll put that over here because he's still mocking me. But I did drink the Belgian Tripel. It had been aging in my basement for a very long time, let's say over 5 years. And that was a wonderful experience because all the I would say harsh flavors I would think that came from a beer that of that gravity and certainly like kind of when you look into like what they brew with, like just the refined sugars and stuff, the
simplicity of it.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of just, oh, this is going to be big and I'm going to feel a lot of
there's a little bit of maybe divine intervention in those beers. Maybe. But
I'll say that when I had this, I said to myself, this is smooth. And I think the years in my basement helped with that. Now, the beer that I brewed has weeks in my basement, so that's going to be a little bit different. Let's talk about it. So I did some research into the style, and I understand that it's a pretty simple grain bill. We're talking about Belgian Pilsner malt, which I used. I found some Digamins and some refined sugars. I did not go the Belgian sugar candy syrup route or any of that. I just used table sugar.
Okay, yep, great.
Because I've just read enough on the internet, and of course I trust the internet, that people who brew this, they say, look, I brewed with the Belgian sugar, I brewed with table sugar, I can't tell the difference. I say, okay, that's good enough for me. That makes sense.
And just as a comment, a lot of people will then invert their own sugar, which has to do with breaking down the glucose-fructose bonds, but for the most part, you know, diminishing returns. Table sugar.
So that's what I used. And then because I'm just, you know, it's kind of like you bringing like, I don't know, Cara wheat, whatever the heck you
crystal wheat,
to the International Amber Lager. I said, well, I'm just going to put a little bit of wheat malt in here, just to maybe add a little
secret weapon.
Yeah, add a little smoothness.
Well, with this style too, you know that you want to achieve frothy head, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta figure out how to work that in.
Yep. So from there, it's all about. I went to the hops and Saaz. Steering Goldings is what I use. So noting that we've talked about this on camera before, that Saaz, I'm like, I'm not sure what I'm getting here in the old homebrew realm. So I used more than I thought I'd need. I used like 2.5 ounces at the beginning of the boil, and then Steering Goldings at 15 minutes to go in the boil, just to maybe bring a little more hop to the nose. And then the yeast. I got a lot of comments from people who watch our channel. They gave us some suggestions on the yeast that to use, and so I went with the Y yeast 3787 Belgian High Gravity. I have the packet right here to remind me what I used, and I thought that was pretty good. It was basically what people were suggesting, like don't use this one, use this one, and I thought this actually performed really, really well.
Really, so shying away from like an Abbey or a Trappist yeast.
Yes. To use this one instead.
All right, cool. That's what this is about.
This is what it's about.
This is about. All right.
So, then, and on top of that, I did not keg this. And I'll there's one more detail that I'll get to, but I did not keg this. This is bottled conditioned. Yeah. And just to make sure that I got the proper carbonation, I actually hit this with a little bit of CBC1.
Oh,
like it's kind of like my insurance policy to make sure that I found the proper priming sugar addition to get to like 3.5 volumes of carbonation.
Yeah, I mean, the head on this is faded since we first poured it, but when we poured it was really rocky. Look at the lacing on that. I mean, it's the foam coming off of this is still high quality. I keep on, you've watched the last couple minutes in the video. I've been keep swirling it to get it to come back, and it's still living on strong, so that's great. That's great. So that's a little bit, in my opinion, it's that wheat malt. And I do think when it comes to foam in a Belgian, I just think there's something also about the Belgian yeast and something that's putting it out in the beer that helps that out, because, you could use these same very Pilsner malt, table sugar, whatever, and not get this kind of head with like USO5.
True that.
You know what I mean? So there's just something about it for sure.
So this has been in the bottle for only 2 weeks, and this one, I actually put into the refrigerator to try to because it's still it needs to be crystal clear. I think the color's good, but I think over time it'll get really clear.
Yeah, especially in a bottle. It'll clear
right up.
And the aroma is like the very first pull I took off of it. And still even now, which is, a testament to the high carbonation, because you can just keep getting volatility out of it. I get that there's almost like a bubble gum ester quality to it, which is very pleasant. But it's really, there's just a Belgian ester quality to it that is there. Maybe a little bit of phenolic spiciness, but the phenols are not like pushing a high level. I always think of overripe banana, like this sweet banana, but then when it gets overripe, there's it's more of an effect than a flavor, in that there's almost like a phenolic thing going on there.
Yeah, it's certainly yeast derived, that aroma,
but in a very pleasant way. So I was surprised before we rolled camera and I looked that you had used the high gravity. I'm like, oh, so maybe I won't be expecting a lot of Belgian character, but actually it is quite Belgian-y. Then the flavor profile is the same. I get that a little bit of a peppery, black pepper type of thing on the aftertaste. Yep. For being as dry as it seems, it's got plenty of very delicate grain character, like a very delicate malt character. That's very pleasant. There is a subtle Belgian candy phenomenon that comes across in it, even though you didn't use that.
Right.
And I know that stuff ferments out and stuff like that, but I just think there's some sort of interplay between those ingredients and that process of Belgian yeast. These things are just things to me that say Belgian ale. Even in the non-phenol positive Belgian ales, like a really good Belgian blonde or something, which is not strongly, phenolic. But this hits on a lot of notes for me as being Belgian. Again, sort of like when we talked about in the last one, we talked about it'd be really interesting to have this recipe side by side with, say, Trappist, Abbey, or just because I just don't have a depth of experience with the Belgian library of yeast strains. And I think after British yeast strains, it's the Belgian yeast strains that then have the most variety in the Y Yeast White Labs catalog, right?
Agreed.
It's funny too, before IPA took over, maybe 15 years ago or so, people were just going crazy for Belgian ale, right? Belgian beers, Belgian beers, Belgian beers. That's what the most sought after beers were all the time. They've sort of fallen out of favor for some reason, but this is elegant, it's beautiful. It delivers on a lot of complexity for being super subtle. And to me, that's what Belgian beer is all about. Somehow you get a tremendous amount of complexity, the very subtle process, a very subtle grain bill, you know.
So detail that I wanted to end with is that I brewed this as a 3-gallon batch.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Although that I'm typically brewing 5-gallon U.S. gallons, I sort of use my equipment to use the same amount of grains, but in a smaller volume.
A smaller volume, yep.
Right. And so I boiled to make sure that I hit my gravity of 1085.
Yeah.
I finished at 1008.
Oh my god.
So we're talking about a 10% beer right here. Because
so that's the thing with Belgian beers.
Yeah.
They are beautiful, they are wonderful, but they will ruin your day. Because they don't taste like 10% alcohol. No. They don't taste like 11% alcohol.
I'm feeling it kind of right now.
But they don't taste that way, right? So you'll get halfway through a beautiful goblet or a snifter or a chalice of something like a Chimay or any one of the triples, God forbid a quad, and you get halfway through and be like, well, this is just a wonderful beer. And all of a sudden you realize, I am way happier than I should be for getting halfway through a beer. Because those Belgian beers, they sneak up on you.
Yeah.
And they're done really well. There should be no heat. There should be no real alcohol.
Are you detecting heat from this?
No, none.
Okay.
None. It's hard sometimes to distinguish alcohol heat from
warmness that I'm feeling inside.
Warmness, but Belgian phenolic character.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't get an alcohol heat.
Okay.
Do I get an alcohol effect? Do I like...
Sure.
Is it warming the my soul? Yes, it is warming my soul, but that's what's supposed to happen with a Belgian beer.
Great. So I think the things I was trying to hit on were the color, which I think I pretty much got. I think with the clarity, you'll even get
a good gold.
Nice straw color, gold. Yeah.
Good gold straw.
Yep. So really wanted to hit the starting gravity right, noting that it's going to be kind of derived from Pilsner malt, but some simple sugars. The wheat is my own secret recipe. Wanted to make sure that I had enough hop character. Not that we've talked about it, but it's there.
Yeah.
And I think it'll probably show off a little bit more as this ages and I think the yeast derived characters kind of mellow out, right?
Yep.
And then I think the carbonation was important to me too.
Absolutely.
So to do it in a bottle. Sorry, the carbonate in a bottle was a necessary step. I don't think it would be the same experience if I were force carbonating it in a keg.
No, because the thing is too, for me, with multiple kegs on at a time, I'm not going to crank up the PSI for this one beer to 15, 16, 17 PSI, then have my English Dark Mild be at 3 volumes when I usually want it at almost less than 2, you know what I mean?
Agreed.
And I also don't want to invest in having multiple regulators. So bottle conditioning this beer, is one way to make sure you get that carbonation. Good move with the additional yeast, the CBC yeast there. But 2, the thing is, these beers are meant to be bottle conditioned, in my opinion. Great Belgian beer, one of the reasons why great Belgian beer ages as well as it does, to some research, some people think, is because you've got yeast in the bottle. It's a live product and it's doing its thing. Yep. You know what I mean? Some of the best Belgian beers. Close to us, Belgian style brewery is Allagash, and they still bottle a ton of stuff. And actually, they've only recently just figured out how to can condition stuff. So actually, adding a little bit of sugar yeast back into some of their canned products too, because it gets rid of oxygen, which is a challenge on the homebrew level. So putting this stuff in a bottle with yeast, with little sugar, I've always sort of felt, this is heresy, but I've always felt that bottled beer in the homebrew world tastes better than keg beer most of the time, and it has to do with oxidation, I think. But that's a whole other video. Leave a comment. Anyway.
See what you think.
I think this is really great. This is, for not brewing this style regularly, it hits a lot of the notes I want.
I can't wait to taste this in 6 months, actually.
Yep.
I think that this is a great one that I'm going to package away in the basement, along with our friend from St. Bernardus. He'll mock me I got a beer for you. But I'm I got a beer for me as well.
Yeah.
And it's aging. And I think that maybe this would be one that we crack open in the holiday season. and we'll see how it has matured.
Yep, absolutely.
So
Beautiful.
all good stuff. Well, thanks for watching. We love doing the Jar of Destiny stuff, and it's almost time to choose another wooden nickel.
Yep.
You know, we've got like, I don't know, 2 more choices to go. Can't believe that like 2022 is almost halfway over.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Crazy. Yeah, time goes
Jar
by.
of Destiny, keeping track of time.
Jar of Destiny. It's like just like got the whip on the horses, and we're going forward. Thanks for watching again. Leave a comment below if you have things to talk about this particular beer style. Share this with your friends. Like this video if you've liked it. Subscribe to our channel because we do this kind of thing every single week. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.